Listener-supported KUNV HD2 Las Vegas, the broadcast service of UNLV.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any agency of KUNV or its affiliates.
Russell Mays, recipient of the Associated Press Citation Award for breaking news coverage, author of Fear Profits You Nothing and Tell 'Em Anything, holder of 2 patent pendings, awarded diplomas in architectural and mechanical engineering, certification in avionics and radar system operations and development, United States Air Force, diploma in film and television production and performance, winner of the Good Citizenship Award from the Daughters of the American Revolution, and an all-around good egg.
Yep. Looks like it's time we're rocking and rolling again here on a Saturday. And I am Russell Mays, 8 o'clock at top of the hour on 10/27/2018. It's almost the end of the month, and Halloween is just around the corner, so there's a lot of good things happening on. Welcome aboard, everybody, and it looks like Facebook's really kicking off today. There's quite a few people logging in. Appreciate it. Hello, everybody across the country. And hello here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're about 60 degrees on the outside here in Las Vegas at the UNLV campuses. And yes, we are listener supported, 91.5, the Rebel HD2, KUNV Las Vegas. Broadcast services of UNLV down deep in the basement or the bowels of the campuses. Interesting times the last week or so, isn't it? I had a lot of things that I wanted to talk about and discuss today. So the question is what should we discuss and what should we talk about? How about, I'm just going to touch on a couple of different things, and then I'm going to do something a little different today, I guess. I think I'm going to read a story. And if you want to hear the story, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. But I do want to quickly talk about the pipe bomb. I guess they caught the guy. Name is Caesar Sayoc Jr., 56 years old. A lot of odd things. This guy's got a record from what they're telling us on the news. But they're also showing a lot of different things. It's interesting how somebody that's living in a van and making these bombs, if you will, and sending them out to get all the information packages and everything else and then get them delivered. Some of them the conspiracy theories are starting to come out. There was no cancellations on the stamps. Stuff like this. Some of them were hand-delivered, some of them weren't. So, the problem is they did get this guy pretty quickly. The other problem is this hand-delivering, especially to, like, CNN. And nobody has a video of this, of him walking in and dropping the package off, or with so many cameras all over the place, and they don't have pictures of this. And it's just, there's a lot of things. We just got to calm down a little bit and let the investigation take its course. Of course, every left-wing media has gone nuts saying it's Donald Trump's fault, it's Donald Trump's fault. Well, if that's true, then Antifa and all the harassment of the right in restaurants, Sarah Sanders, Ted Cruz, all the rest of them, all these break is the left's fault. It's a two-way street. It really is. So the good thing is they caught the guy. The bad thing is they still think there's a couple of packages out there to be delivered. So be careful. They actually had a strange package here in Las Vegas that they were called out on. They weren't sure what it was. They didn't get into it very much. Must not have been important. Might have been a copycat. Might have been something just totally freaking people out. Who knows? I haven't heard much about it. So I'll probably try to dig into it and see what's going on with that. That's pretty much all I have to say on the bomb making thing. They're going to make this into a huge issue, and they're also going to I call this the October surprise produced by the Democrats themselves. They didn't expect it to happen this way, I'm sure, and they didn't expect it to happen to themselves. They thought they were going to have this revelation for the midterm elections for the October surprise, but surprise on them. I don't think this bombing issue is going to have any effect on the midterm elections. Simple as that. I don't think so. They're going to try to play the victim here, and they're not the victim. They are the cause. I hate to tell you that. They are the cause. So is CNN and the rest of them. MSNBC, ABC, CBS. Something else I'm running into that's really interesting. Now, everyone knows that I'm a very strong conservative. And I'd like to get the news without all the rhetoric. And Fox is really good about that. But they have a lot of opinionated shows. And a lot of their opinion shows are being churned over too much. I see the same thing over and over and over again. Give me something new. So, that being said, I was flipping channels the other day, and I ran across its OAN. And it stands for America's Network. One America News Network is what it stands for. And it's pretty much, come on. What is wrong with these people? I hate pop-ups on Facebook. I hate pop-ups on my cell phone. All of that stuff. And you have to go in and you have to readjust it every time. So, anyway, if anybody had a little bit of an interruption in their broadcast for this live video, I apologize. It was my video phone here that's doing the wacky thing. So anyway, check out One America News Network. They're very straightforward. It's the way news used to be reported when I was growing up. You know, how they would come on and say, this happened today, this is what's going on, here's the news, here's the weather, blah, 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 going on, without all the hoopla. And when they do their commentary or editorials or opinion pieces, you know right away, this is an opinion, this is what they viewpoint it is. And yes, I'm sorry, it is a conservative news network, a little bit on the right leaning, but their news is pretty much straightforward. They lay it out, tell you what it is, and without the pomp and circumstance. Okay, so that's pretty much that part of it for this bomber. So all I have to say on that, people, please stop. Stop with the harassment of politicians in a restaurant. Stop with the shootings of Scalia's at the baseball game that shot him. Stop with the things. I mean, I had to do reporting to the police about harassment calls to me about being a political. The other thing I want you to stop also is stop with these surveys. Lord in heaven, the closer we get to election coming up the 6th, every night I get another survey taken. So it's gotten so off the wall. And this is the reason why I don't believe in the polling. It's gotten so off the wall. The first two that I did pretty well, straightforward and honest, told them what I thought. Then they started slanting the survey, saying, oh, this is an open survey, and then it was going one way or the other. So I started lying on all these surveys. Every time they call, oh, yeah, I'll take your survey. Oh, absolutely. I'll do this and I'll do this. And I'm lying to them straight out now. I am so tired of them calling me and surveying me. I am telling them false information when they ask, how old are you? Have you voted before? Is it your first time? Is it your second time? What party do you vote for? Over and over and over again. Why do you think? And the questions are so slanted. So it's like, it's the same statement. Do you still beat your wife? That kind of questioning is how they gear it towards. And I hate to tell you this, almost 90% of the calls I get that are questioned that way are for Jackie Rosen. And it's like, oh, you hate Dean Heller still, huh? Is that right? But yet you're going to still vote for him? It's that type of questioning. And it drives me nuts. They can't ask you a straight question. They can't say straight out, who are you voting for, yes or no? Did you vote, yes or no? Are you going to vote, yes or no? They have to, well, if the election was held today and your family member is dying of health care, and because they didn't get health care with one, who would you vote for? Come on. Health care is very important, okay, to people. And it's an important issue. But they really haven't got the facts yet that healthcare is not a persuading factor in this election. People don't realize the immigration issue is the persuading factor. People want to build this wall, and the Democrats do not want to build the wall. It's simple as that. If you build the wall, you're going to stop a lot of the issues that are coming on. And they go, well, they can dig tunnels under and they can fly over. Okay, well, let's see. We have 14,000 people in a caravan heading up towards America. Well, I don't see any of them with plane tickets. I don't see any of them with picks and shovels to dig a tunnel. I don't see any of them doing anything but bringing their kids, so the kids will be used against the people on that. So the question is are they going to be digging tunnels and flying over, or are they going to come through and say, look, I want asylum? Now, the best thing is, and I think Donald Trump has done a wonderful job on this, and Mexico too, where Mexico is offering asylum to all these people. So, what happens now is they are offering asylum. Some are taking it and some are refusing it. So, if they refuse asylum in Mexico, they will not be allowed to have asylum in America. And that's a good angle to go at. Because if you're seriously being needed for asylum, you would take it right away if some country is going to give you asylum. But if you're going to reject that asylum and go for another country that you're walking across, why should we offer you asylum? If you're seriously in that much trouble in your country, why wouldn't you take the asylum being offered by Mexico? So their whole case is going to go right out the window. The other thing is why are they marching towards California? Why aren't they, heading towards Arizona, something like that where there's not much of a wall. Reason being is because there's different rules in Arizona. Also, when you get to Arizona, if you've ever been on the Arizona and a lot of Texas border, that's a lot of desert. People die crossing that desert. So you have to be careful about that. When I used to live in Arizona, they were reporting constantly finding people succumbing to hypothermia and the temperatures out there in the desert. It's a harsh situation, and they know it too. So if they go through California, they know California is a sanctuary city, sanctuary everything, and they're just going to let them in. Simple as that. But I don't think our President Donald Trump is going to do this. So that's going to be an interesting concept when they get to the border. He's presumably sending, well, what are we at here? Let's see what it says. In Mexico, more than 1,700 people have applied for asylum in Mexico. Others just giving up out of exhaustion. Okay. Donald Trump is going to be sending 800 troops to the U.S.-Mexico border in anticipation of the Caravan. Now, you also got to understand, that Caravan is probably a good 2 to 3 weeks out. So, a lot of it's going to be relying on what happens during the election. Think about that, folks. If you get out there and you vote these Democrats in, all those people are going to come across the border. And it's really sad that our elections have to be geared to the results of what other countries do. Think about this. They're trying to charge Trump with Russian collusion. But yet we have Ecuador, Salvador, South America, a lot of Mexicans in Mexico, but that's being taken care of. They are trying to manipulate our elections. Not by voting illegally or fraud, but just by the fact of I hate that light. I really do. I wish they would fix that sensor or something. I gotta understand it. It's a university, and they gotta save electricity one way or another. But to affect our elections just by walking up here, and this Caravan is being used by a political ping pong by both sides, as a matter of fact. But why are they coming here again in another Caravan? And it's because they can. I do understand the heartfelt. We have to help them. They're hungry. Their children are with them. All these poor people. And my question is why would you take your child, a newborn, as you see on the news a lot, on a 1,000-mile hike with a backpack of barely anything to survive? Why would you do that to your child? Think about that. Why would you do that? There's a lot of issues going on. Let's see what else we have going on here. Coming from Honduras, Guatemala, departure of 160 or so immigrants on October 12th. Now it's expanded out to about 17 or 14,000 people. So who are these people? And they're trashing Trump because Trump says there's MS-13 in there. There's ISIS that are all mixed in there. Bad people. And yeah, he's probably right. The roll of the dice is, yes, there are bad people in this migration coming up through here. There's also good people, too. But somebody is sponsoring this. There is no doubt. There's money being poured into this cause. And you can't tell me that other vehicles of support are not being spent. Because look at the news and the commercials that are being produced. Every television commercial you see during the political time, I worked with the advertisers for these political ads. It's not cheap to put a television commercial on a news. And you see them on all the channels. They buy packages. They're $100,000. So why would you spend $100,000, let's just say, for a 30-second spot that runs all week at a certain time on a certain program to build up how we should be nice to these people coming in the caravan? And you should vote for me because we're going to be nice to them. Think about that. They're going to be spending all this money. Oh, just got Canada jumped on board. Thanks, Rick. That was nice of you. He's watching and listening from Toronto. We've crossed the borders again. We have a couple from the Philippines. Have one from, we have one from the UK. And all people joining in. Hey, everybody. That's nice. So anyway, our immigrant problem is a issue that is driving me up the wall. I think they're even using it now, trying to get after Trump on this, too. They want to use it to get rid of him. They were already talking about it. If this happens, they're going to use it against him and trying to get him impeached again. They're also doing it against Kavanaugh, too. They want to get in there and throw Kavanaugh out. There's such Trump hate that they have created this evil within our society of hatred. And it's the hatred of the left towards the right. It's not what he's doing good, what he's doing bad, or anything. It's just being my video here. My phone keeps on jumping out. I think it's got one of those pop-up blockers that got virus checkered on it. So, just real quickly, if anybody's watching me on Facebook, just shoot a quick text and say their video hadn't been interrupted. It was just on my side, so I just don't want to lose you guys, because when I hit resume, it goes right back. So I don't know if it was for me or for them. Anyway, quite a bit of things are happening there. But what they're doing now is they're accusing Trump of all the bombers with these fake bombs, if they're fake bombs. You cannot take that lightly. You really can't. I don't care what people say, if it's fake or not. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered about it. But if you're being threatened with an explosive device, and then you turn around and say, well, it's somebody else is doing that just because of their politics, you have a serious problem, especially when you're starting to use it as a political pawn. You don't care about your own family or things. That's what happened when Trump got all the ricin and the powder sent to them and the threats and stuff, is he got mad and said, you don't do that to my family. But you notice none of these Democrats are saying that. They're saying it's Trump's fault. So that makes serious thing. Now, they're also coming out, and this other guy, I can't remember what his name is, he posted on Facebook saying that he was going to shoot President Trump. Well, they found him, okay, and once they found him, they arrested him, and they're putting him in jail, and they're prosecuting him for his post on Facebook because they said this is a serious accusation. This is serious, too, when they threatened the assassination of the president, okay? So my question is, How come Johnny Depp and Madonna are not in jail right now? How come Peter Fonda is not in jail right now? How come Rosie O'Donnell is not in jail right now? All of these people have actually made Joy Behar, Griffin, whatever, Jennifer Griffin, the comedian. All of these people have made death threats publicly to the president. But since they're stars, Robert De Niro, there's another one. Since they're stars, they get away with it, a lot of it. We're going to take a quick break here. I'm Russell Mays. This is KUNV. Be right back in just a moment.
A message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare.
There's pain that does not stop.
I feel trapped by migraine.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
I feel like I'm dying.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
This is member-supported KUNV HD2 Las Vegas, the broadcast service of UNLV.
Okay, made that real short, quick, and sweet. We are back. Yes, we are listener-supported, 91.5, the Rebel HD2, KUNV Vegas, the broadcast services of UNLV. If you're listening to me online or on Facebook, that's www.therebelhd2.com. Check us out. Welcome aboard overseas folks and Canada, too. Well, and I hope everybody is having a good time. Just talking a little bit about the bombing and the things like Johnny Depp and Madonna and the rest of them threatening our president with death and dismemberment and the rest of them. And they're sitting around, running around free, but yet they'll put a normal citizen in jail for it, too. So I think they should do something about it. Anyway, I wanted to do something different today, sort of different, since we are coming into Halloween coming up on Wednesday. Make sure you have all the candy out there for the kids that are going to be coming knocking on the door. And I don't know if I should do this or not. I was going to read The Legend of Sleepy Hollow for Halloween. So, by Washington Irving. It's a great classic story for everybody. Why not? We'll get right into it. It should be pretty fun, I think. I don't know. And of course, the illustrations are done by David Calver. Everyone believed that the valley of Sleepy Hollow was haunted. But the one who believed it most was Ichabod Crane. Ichabod lived in Sleepy Hollow, and it was a good place for him since he loved to read about goblins and witches and to tell frightening ghost stories. Of course, Ichabod didn't spend all of his time thinking about ghosts. He also thought about food. Even in school, he thought about it. He would often lose his place in a book because his mind, once on lunch instead of his work, mine was on lunch instead of work. This wouldn't have been so unusual, except Ichabod was the teacher. One afternoon, Ichabod gave his class a problem in arithmetic. Smacking his lips, he asked, "If you have 6 cakes, 3 cakes, and 10 cakes, how many cakes do you have?" The class set to work to find the answer. Ichabod walked around with a stick in his hand to help along. any pupil who seemed lazy. Ooh, gonna beat some kids now. This story is probably going to be used as, against for child abuse, I guess. As the class was working, a young man rode up to the house door. "There's a party at the Van Tassel farm tonight," he called to Ichabod, "and you're invited. Supper is at 8 o'clock. Okay. "Wonderful," answered the schoolmaster. "Thank you for your news." He watched with excitement as the young man rode off to invite other guests. Then Ichabod turned to his class. "My dear children," he beamed, "is your work finished?" He was so happy that he didn't even whip the boy who gave the wrong answer to the problem. In fact, he gave the class the rest of the day off. Wow. Somebody got whipped for not having the right answer? School has changed a lot, hasn't it? Ichabod rushed home to get ready for the big night ahead. He hummed as he took a steaming hot bath, shifted his best shoes, or shined his best shoes. I gotta get better glasses. Carefully brushed his Sunday suit. He spent half an hour in combing his hair. And he stood in front of the door in the front of the mirror and thought about Katrina. Oh. Beautiful Katrina. She was the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Van Tassel. How lovely she was, with her brown hair and brown eyes and shining curls. And how rich. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. If she only would marry him, then they could sit at her parents' wonderful dinner table every single day. Ichabod looked a little. Ichabod took a last look in the mirror. What a handsome fellow, he said to himself in the glass. Then he went to the barrow and borrowed a horse from the farmer in the warehouse he lived in. Okay. Boy, sometimes I'm really good at this and sometimes I'm really bad. I'm going to have all kinds of excuses. The light's here, it's hard to read, it's fuzzy, that kind of stuff. But who cares? We'll get through it. It's Halloween. Soon Ichabod was bouncing up the road on the sagging back of an old gunpowder. You know, I forgot about that. The horse he was on was named Gunpowder. Isn't that interesting? I love this stuff. Farmer Brown's gentlest horse. People smiled as the pair rode by. Crane in ascertaining the right name for the good teacher. Old man chuckled. He looks just like that bird. Okay. It was true. Ichabod had a long and skinny neck and long and skinny legs. His feet almost touched the ground as he rode. His pointed eyebrows stuck out on either side. They flapped up and down with Gunpowder's very step. Even the tail of Ichabod's coat fluttered behind him like a bird's tail feathers. In a short while, Ichabod reached the Van Tassel's farmhouse. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to block the picture with the page I'm reading. I just realized I was doing that. I know you people want to see how nice and cute I am. So, Ichabod hurried inside, but he paid a little attention to the other guest. He simply couldn't take his eyes off the food. Never had he seen such a table. Whenever one sat down to dinner, he was the first to reach for the helping bowl of platters. And each time his plate was empty, he was talked into having just a bit more. As everyone was eating, a noise like rolling thunder was heard outside. No one was afraid, though. They knew it was only Brumbones, okay, young Brumbones, and his friends racing up the road on their horses. Katrina ran to the door with a bluish blush. She waved silently. Hey, Brumbone! Legend leaped off his horse. I must be getting old. I'm going blind. Brom led his laughing friends into the house. They were jolly and handsome and young men, they were. Yes, they were. Brom loved Mr. and Mrs. Van Tassel and winked at their pretty blonde daughter. Then he went to shake hands with the guests. In less than a minute, Brom was telling a funny story. It was about tricks and treats and played on friends. The guests laughed until tears ran down their cheeks, and they loved to hear Brom's merry tales. After all, thought Ichabod, Brom is just a joker. So one guest, however, didn't care for Brom's tales at all. Ichabod Crane only turned up his long nose at the storyteller and yawned. He was sure Katrina didn't like Brom Bone either. Certainly, he smiled and Brom just, okay, no problem. I am a teacher and I have read 3 books all the way through, and I can sing like a bird. To prove it, I burst into song, and Ichabod's voice rang through the room like the bells. Before long, someone began to play a fiddle, and Ichabod didn't waste a moment. He could dance, and dance all night. A strange woman. When the music stopped, Ichabod hurried to join some guests near the fire. They were telling ghost stories, and Ichabod dearly loved such tales. A strange woman in white appeared in the graveyard just before each big storm. The blacksmith was saying, I tell you, I've seen her twice. Ichabod's teeth began to chatter. Brown saw him and smiled. The mayor's wife went on, I'm more afraid of the headless horseman. Now that my lights go off so I can't read. Hang on. Turn them back on again. Don't you just love all this? Isn't it great? Okay. The headless horseman. Ichabod asked in a weak voice. What's that? Brom spoke up. The headless horseman is the ghost of the soldier with whose head was shot from his shoulders. That's an interesting statement. You can tell this is old written. Shot from his shoulders. You like that, huh? The headless horseman is the ghost of the soldier whose head was shot from his shoulders. Even now, the ghost sometimes rides through the night in search of his lost head. Ichabod shook his head to foot. Ichabod shook from head to foot. He believed every word of the story with all his heart. Soon the party was over. Still stalking and shaking and wondering, Ichabod went to say good night to Katrina. However, she turned away, hardly noticing that he was there. Poor Ichabod. Unhappily, he started his trip home on gunpowder. But as he rode through the dark night, a strange feeling came over him. How foolish, he thought. There are no ghosts out here. I know better than to believe such tales and things. Still unhappy as he was, he couldn't get his mind off the tale he had just heard. Especially the one about the headless horseman. Suddenly Ichabod felt a chill up and down his back. Now he really began to shake. He had a strong feeling that he wasn't alone. His heart pounded. He looked to the left and he looked to the right, but he saw nothing unusual. Then he stared up the road in front of him, and all he could see was the old church steeple, looking just the same as always. Still trembling, he rode on. Ichabod came to a small wooden bridge. Gunpowder set one foot on it, then jerked to a sudden stop. Ichabod heard a step behind him. He sat up in the saddle. Drops of sweat stood on his fore. Slowly he turned his long neck to peek at the road behind him, and something big and black was standing in the darkness. It looked like a monster ready to spring. Ichabod almost fainted. The monster was huge, horse and rider, and far behind, the teacher rubbed his eyes. Then he let out a wild scream. Ah! The headless horseman cried. The headless horseman is after me. Help! Somebody! He dug his skinny head into the gunpowder's ribs. The old farm horse gave a leap and began to gallop wildly down the road. Faster, faster, he cried. Ichabod. His long legs kicking the air. He looked back and he see the horseman had been left behind. But no, the awful thing was even closer. Ichabod shook as if he would fall apart. His teeth chattered louder than gunpowder's hoofs. He saw the ghost. The ghost did have a head, but it was carrying it under his arm. Ooh. Now the horseman started to swing its... Wow. The horseman started to swing his head around. That ruined the whole aspect of the story, didn't it? Oh, got it. All right. Swing lighter and lighter and swung faster and faster. No, screamed Ichabod. No, don't do it. He dug his heels deeper into Gunpowder's sweating side. The old horse did his best to pick up speed, and up steep hills and down deep valleys they raced. Sparks threw through the air as Gunpowder's hooves hit the stones. Help! It's after me! It's after me! Ichabod loudly screamed. He looked back one more and gasped. The terrible thing was... Gotta turn the page. Was only a few feet away. Oh my God, Ichabod, Ichabod! Suddenly the headless horseman rushed forward. It swung its head high in the air, then let it go. Ichabod tried to duck, but the head flew straight towards him. He screamed with all his might. Ah! He howled as the head hit him, squarely on the back and broke it to pieces. Ichabod threw up his own long arms and fell off Gunpowder's back. In a heap down the hill he tumbled, head over heels. Then he jumped up, still howling. He raced through the night, his arms waving as he went. Faster and faster he ran, farther and farther, until he was only a speck in the road. From that night on, Ichabod was never seen in Sleepy Hollow again. The next morning, a very tired old Gunpowder was found eating grass at the master's front gate. The farmer wondered where Ichabod could be. So did the children who stood at the schoolhouse door waiting for their teacher. Many people looked for Ichabod, but he was not to be found. What was found was the tracks of horse hooves along the road from the Van Tassel farm, and not far from the tracks was a broken pumpkin. One of the men in the search party told Brown Bones about the broken pumpkin. Brown burst into laughter, as if he just heard the best joke of his life. And for years after, even when he had been married to Katrina for the very long time, Brown would laugh for hours if someone just mentioned the word pumpkin or the name of Ichabod Crane. And that's my little horror story for the day, folks. I hope you liked it. If you didn't like it, too bad. It's Halloween. So there. Halloween, the night of the dead. People all over the world are celebrating it in different ways. So make sure you celebrate Halloween. Make sure you get the candy out for the kids. They're going to be coming around. If you like the story, just tell me you like the story. If you didn't like the story, tell me you didn't like the story. Or tell me to get a better story next time. I will do just that. If you want to chime in, 702-895-3915. I'm Russell Mays. We're looking at a temperature of about 6 degrees. Actually, it's gone up 64 degrees on the outside. A lot of things are going on within our political scene. Make sure, coming up November 6th, to get out and vote. This has got to be one of our most important elections ever. It's not about voting Democrat or Republican. I seriously, I can't express enough. It's about if you want to keep America free or if you want to turn it over to a socialist view. And everyone says, oh, that's pretty dumb. You can't say something like that. Yes, I can. And the reason why is anytime you start instituting a socialistic view into a free society as ours, you will never get it back. Ever. There will be that taint that will spoil the country every time. It's so important to tell Congress and the Senate and our government that we are a constitutional society here. Our life is based on the Constitution of our forefathers. The Constitution is not written to protect the government. The Constitution is written for the people to protect them from the government. That is very, very important. Anytime it comes under attack for one reason or another, look at the Democrats want to use the 25th Amendment to say Trump is crazy. Why do they want to do that? Why do they have such vile hatred for this man when the entire country voted this man in? Think about that, people. The country voted Trump in. His rallies are huge, but yet they want to get rid of him so badly. Why is that? They're calling him a greedy person, a hate monger. Wait a minute here. The man is a billionaire a couple of times over. So why does he have to worry? He's not even taking a salary. His presidential salary is going to charity. Think about that. Here's another little tidbit of information. The Democrats are having a rough time getting the support they're looking for. But yet they're touting that they're out raising money twice as much as the Republicans. So who's dumping all this money into them? And they still can't win the election? I mean, Hillary Clinton spent, 4 to 5 times more than Trump did. I think Trump spent a total of $40 million on the total presidential campaign. And Hillary spent well over $120 million on the campaign, and she still lost. Where is all that money coming from? Where is it all going to? Why are they being so evil that they want to harass and to gin up the evil of Antifa and the rest of the violent people out there? If you're so powerful, or I don't want to use the word powerful, so adamant about your side, this is basically towards Antifa, why are you destroying things with masks on? Why don't you get up on a podium with a microphone and say, this is you and this is what you're saying? Why do you have to destroy people's property over that? Think about that, people. They work and live in the shadows, just like the swamp does, as Trump called. They work in the shadows. And the reason why they do that is because they don't want blood on their hands. They will let everybody else take the fall. Even this caravan that's coming up, they're going to let them take the fall. Here's a good example. Have you heard of Dr. Ford lately? Not a single word from her or her lawyers or anything. Dianne Feinstein is not even saying a word about it. But I do believe Dianne Feinstein was accusing Trump of manipulating people for his cause. And I went, are you kidding me? She's actually saying this? Someone that threw Dr. Ford under the bus leaked her information, and yes, I'm going to do the accusation that she and her office leaked that information to the press. I know it's not provable, and she said right out, oh, we didn't do that. But wait a minute here. You want us to believe Dr. Ford was telling the truth, but you don't want to believe that Judge Kavanaugh was telling the truth. Then if you're accused of leaking the information and you say you didn't do it without any proof that you didn't do it, and you want us to just take it for face value? Please. Other issues people don't realize is if the Democrats would leave the governmental system the way the founding fathers made it, they wouldn't have had this problem. And what I'm talking about is our darling Senator Harry Reid here in Las Vegas and Nevada, who is just making tons and tons of money on his own, even now, is the one that instilled the nuclear option for the 51 vote, the majority vote. It used to be 60 votes or better to confirm a judge. Actually, it went even further back than that. They never had to do a vote to confirm. The president would say, I want this person in. They get confirmed and selected, and away they go. Democrats instilled an election process. Then when they were in charge under Obama, who is really just driving me nuts now, stating that we can elect anybody into the judge we want to. You only need 51 votes instead of the 60. So now it's biting them in the backside, and they're complaining about it. Something else about this civility stuff. Obama went on and said that when he was president, he never tried to split the country with civil discourse. I swear to God, I almost fell out of my chair. I couldn't believe those words came out of his mouth. As much as he pushed the hatred of the police force in this country and how he demonized them, how he demonized America to the rest of the world. And yeah, because of this, Trump has put us back on track again. Who was it? Teddy Roosevelt, I believe it was? Or was it Truman? Carry a big stick. Speak softly and carry a big stick. It's funny about that is because if you speak softly and you carry a big stick, means that you're going to back up what you say. What's funny about that is Obama wasn't that way. Obama was yelling and screaming, and he was speaking loudly, but he didn't have a stick at all. He had a little tiny stick. That means he didn't have anything to back it up with. He just had his rhetoric that he spoke of. And because of that, he darn near trashed our country. And I hate... If you ever seen an interview with Trump when he was younger, everything he said then, he's doing now. Also, he said then, when they asked him if he was going to run for president, he said it straight out. He goes, the country doesn't need him yet. When the country is in need of him to be president, he will become president. He actually said these words. When he ran for president, he knew that Obama and the Democrat left and the socialists were ready to tear this country down. And he knew he had to get into it. What's interesting about that fact is Ronald Reagan did the same thing. When Reagan was an actor, he read the book on Marxism. And he knew that our country was trying to become Marxism. And he knew that led to communism and socialism. And he knew he had to get into office to stop this. Americans are very complacent. We're very easygoing. But when you get our dander up and get us mad, better watch out. We will put up with a lot of crap, and the Democrats know this. All they know is we'll put up and put up and put up, until they push us too far, and then look what happens. Now they're all complaining, so I don't know. Halloween's coming up. I hope you liked the Ichabod Sleepy Hollow story. That was nice to read. It had some things there. I found out I got to get better glasses. Must be getting old at my old age or something like that. We're almost at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. My day is done. I hope you enjoyed everything. I'm Russell Mays. This is KUNV 91.5, the Rebel HD2. Listener supported of KUNV services right here of UNLV. You take care now. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Shoot me a text if you liked everything. Take care. Bye-bye.
Real electronic